Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the 5th of December 2020. And we're going to talk about some things that you need to be aware of if you're going to get into homesteading and gardening. Because I talk to you a lot on this channel. I have talked to you about the opportunities. I've talked about it as a way that you could make a good living. So a lot of people do. I've talked to you about what it means from a prepping aspect. And why it's important to grow your own food. These are very vital truths. But, you know, there's also the work side of it. I never said it was easy. It's a lot of work. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of go into that a little bit because a lot of people, a lot of YouTube channels that just show the good side of this. And I was kind of inspired to do this by another YouTube channel, North Country Off-Grid. And he was talking about an off-grid homestead and how they have stresses on marriages, and how one of his friends who's in a similar homestead, their marriage, it looks like it's not going to survive what they're doing. So it's not easy, but I think it's worth it. So we're going to explore that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to get into the brass tacks of it. As you know, I'll bring you a lot of videos about what to do to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. And we talk about it from the standpoint of growing your own food. I talk about it from harvesting wild edibles. And in fact, I went right here and cut off a piece of one of those pine trees a little over a year ago and showed you how to use the inner cambium layer as food. I've literally been teaching y'all how to eat from the weeds and trees and wild medicinals. And I grow garden medicinals. So there's going to be more of that. There's going to be more of what's going on in the world, because I believe people need to be aware to prepare, and prepare to not be scared. Be prepared, not be scared. But as you know, it's in my opinion, you really need to know what's going on in the world. It motivates you to stay prepared, and it tells you maybe how you should prepare. And that's why I cover things in my eyes wide open and head on the swivel news, that I talk about what's going on in the world. A lot of people don't understand that. Greg, how can you do gardening, worm farming, and talk about that? Well, I'm interested in all these things, and I can talk about them because I study each of these matters deeply. So to continue getting content like that, bang the update notification bell. First subscribe to the channel, then bang the update notification bell and click all. And you can support my channel, of course, by clicking the links below. I do have one of my links is True Leaf Market. And True Leaf Market has an excellent supply. They're an affiliate marketer with me. We work together. And if you use my links, you won't pay a penny more for what you buy. And in fact, it will help me, and it'll help me run my farm, because this is not a cheap operation, believe me, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So it does help me, but they help you because they tell you how to grow stuff. I got videos telling you how to grow stuff, but when you buy the seeds, they give you a lot of details about them, more than you'll usually find, and you get all the seeds and supplies for growing indoors, like microgreens. We'll touch on that topic too. So check with True Leaf Market, and check out prepwithgreg.com, because we got a great special there. $100 off the 4-week supply of long duration, 25 years lasting food. I talk about it all the time, so check it out, and we'll talk about it later. All right, let's get on to it. Here, racetrack near here. So I've got a homestead here. This is not an off-grid homestead, but it is still a lot of work. An off-grid homestead is a lot more work, because, you know, if you want to eat, you got to go out and cook some firewood. Cut some firewood to cook your meal sometimes if you're cooking on a wood stove. That's the way my dad grew up. That's the way everybody used to live. That used to be a way of life. It's all people knew. It wasn't homesteading. It was living. It was just what had to be. And I did videos of my dad on this topic, and I was fortunate to do that because I wanted people to hear what he had to say. A lot of people today have it so easy they don't understand or comprehend what people used to have to do. And my dad, you know, on the video said they used to have to scratch for a living. Now, mind you, they got up and they worked. I mean, they busted it. I mean, they ate meals commensurate to an Olympic athlete in training, and they burned that off. They weren't fat. They ate like horses, and it's because they were out doing so much work. They worked hard. Their tools were manual, and that's what they did, and they didn't get much for it. What they got? They had a place to sleep at night. They had food on the table. Maybe some clothes to wear, not much. That was it. They didn't have a lot of fancy toys and gizmos and all these wonderful great things that we play with today and enjoy. They didn't have telephones and internet and all these things that we're able to use to share information, in fact. But, you know, they had the information that was passed down from generation to generation. And I'm bringing this up because in tough times, you got to scratch for a living, and a homestead is not an easy thing, off-grid or on-grid even. Now, you're going to spend a lot of time and money to build a homestead. Greg, well, why should I do it? Well, I get a peace of mind out of this. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I know it's here. I know it's something I can fall back on in the tough times. Now, as you may see, I am growing a lot of turmeric. I always tell people I don't grow food, but actually there's some food in here. Not a lot, but you know, I got some greens I can definitely eat. I probably need to start cutting them. I've got the garlic growing there. We got garlic growing all over the place around here. Some of it might have got too much of a head start this year. We're going to have to see how that goes. But we've just planted more. This is all planted out in garlic here. So we're going to see how that plays out. We've got some onions over there and lettuce over there. Turmeric, garlic. This is mostly a medicinal garden. It's a market garden. It is not, I'm growing my food garden, but I have the seeds. I can switch over quickly to do that, should I so choose. And I do some off-grid work here. This is an off-grid project. It is a way to heat my aquaponics water from my aquaponics greenhouse without any electricity involved. It's totally solar pumped, solar heated. The solar energy moves it. I will go more into that in the future. I've talked about it in the past. We'll talk about that some more. It's still in progress. In fact, my whole farm is still a work in progress. This is the next panel. And there is the pipe and a lot of those stuff I'm going to build the next panel with. It's just sitting there ready to work it. As you can see, I didn't work it this year. And one of my subjects in one of my videos, goldenrod, kind of took over the spot. Yeah, all right, I got a little scrap wood back over there. I can use that for other stuff too. So, yeah, I need to clean this place up, admittedly. But these sawhorses are in progress of being used, actually. In fact, I might need to come out here and do a little cutting soon. And I recycle stuff. Now, I do have some workers from time to time. I've heard people say, oh, Curtis Stone's not a real farmer because he hires people to help him out. Oh, give me a break. I'm going to tell you something. There's so much work to do on these farms, even the small ones, you're not going to believe it. And he does such an excellent job and has done in the way he manages everything. Yeah, he's got to have some help. That's just part of it. But you got to remember, that man on a quarter of an acre was making $100,000 a year selling produce for restaurants and farmers markets and the like. So he was crushing it. But that took a lot of work and a lot of management to do that on such a small acreage. My friends the Dervaes from Pasadena, California, 4 adults work 1/10 of an acre. 4 adults work 1/10 of an acre. But they grow all the food they eat on that 1/10 of an acre. And they manage to sell from it, and they actually make a living off that 1/10 acre. I said 4, the dad died, so it's now his adult children that are doing that 3. But they're crushing that. I mean, they don't live fancy. They live meager, but they're happy and well adjusted with what they have. They have mastered the art of what they do. And much credit to their father, Jules Dervaes. He was quite a visionary and a very inspirational human being. I thought the world of him and what he did, the vision he had. I had the opportunity to meet him on my first trip out there, and it was almost like a religious experience, just seeing how well adjusted he was and where he was coming from. It was amazing, nothing short of amazing. So the point I'm getting to here is that it is a lot of work, but it is worth it, because one thing, you grow your own food. You know what you're growing. You can grow it organically. That's how I show you how to do it. I don't use any chemicals in our growing process. I'm better than organic. Organic allows for certain chemicals that I do not use. I'm totally 100% natural. Am I certified? No. Why bother? Just money and time to go through all that stuff. And time is the one thing I'm really short on. The advice is, if you're going to go into homestead, have the time to do it. That's my first advice to you. But you may not. You might choose to do it like I did, but it's kind of nutty. Because I do have a very engaging full-time job. And it's hard for me to leave it because I actually have a lot of debt acquired from a previous relationship from way back. And quite a bit. So I have some things to service in that regard. All that said, I'm not quite yet at the point I can just leave the day job. Now hopefully I can get there, and that's why I do the YouTube channel. That's why we've got I do the advertising and the marketing, is because I'm trying to build this up to where I can make a living from this, so that I can move on and do the things I really want to do, and I can do a better job bringing you content and bringing you better content when I can do that, because my job eats up the bulk of my time, almost all my time. I spend 10 hours a day at my day job. And doing these videos I do through the week, the extra videos, take a lot of research. I don't get much sleep. It's tough. And weekends I find myself running just to buy things, get things, pay bills. It's hard to find time to put into the farm. So yeah, I hired some help too. Well, hired help at the wage level. It's hard to get anybody else, but at the wage level, it's hard to make things work. It's hard to find reliable people. It's extremely hard. It's not hard, it's extremely hard. And it's also a case that, they tend to, whenever they do anything, they drop it wherever it's at. They leave a mess. I have many times come in here and just picked up 7, I think a dozen 30-gallon garbage bags full of stuff. And you can do that every 3 months. I do have a couple of young couples that are helping me out sporadically, and I'm trying to encourage them that maybe they could pick up and get a piece of the productivity. I'm trying to get them up to that point. I'm not sure they're up to it though. I'm really thinking that they're not quite there. They got some other things going on in their lives, and I'm not blaming them for that. I'm just saying their lives are in a different place. Young couples are typically what you'd like to have. So I'm really going to be looking for somebody to sharecrop this property on the basis that they run the business pretty much, and I provide the facilities, and they get half the profit. And I'll talk about that. I'll do a video specifically on that in the not too distant future. And the reason I want to do that is because I'm looking at starting another farm in Arizona. And the beauty of that is I'll be able to ship worms locally pretty much around the country once I do that, or fairly locally. And that will make my worm business more viable once again, with the post office being the way it is right now. Okay, back to all this. So this opening here where I'm gardening at one time was all trees, and I love trees. I bought this place because I love trees. It broke my heart to cut them down, but I came to the realization that I was going to need to have a garden. And I first started trying gardening in my front yard. Now when I first bought this place, it didn't have much place for a garden. I thought that was great because I was an engineer, and I thought, wow, I ain't got a garden anymore. That's a lot of hard work. I did that growing up. I don't have to do that anymore to eat. I can afford to buy stuff. And then I got studying the food I was buying and discovering how decrepit it was, all the junk in it, and how it affects your health. And I'm going, I need to start growing my own food. And some of my first gardens were indeed vegetable gardens in my front yard. But I discovered I had a hard time growing squash in my front yard because my yard's got, these trees that are, extremely high. And about noon and thereafter, all afternoon, my yard was shaded, and so it was very conducive to the growth of white mildew and rust and things like that, especially the squash. I just couldn't grow squash in my front yard. I can grow squash back here just fine, but I couldn't in my front yard. It just wasn't open enough. Didn't have enough room. And so I also knew I was getting more of the prepper mindset. My original prepper mindset was, hey, one day we got to get off this planet because we might not be able to survive on this planet because of catastrophes. And then I come to realize, oh, these are a lot nearer term than what I thought. We're going to have time to get off this planet. We got to do it now. So that's when I got into prepping, big time. I mean, I was already into it some, but that caused me to accelerate it in terms of growing my own food. And it gave me the notion of the importance I needed to clear out my property. I cleared out half of my woods, half of it for a garden, a house project back here, my greenhouse. I got my barn up there. And this half of my property is woods. They're over. That I left in the woods, and that's behind my kitchen bay window because I want to be able to look out and see trees. I love trees. I still love trees. It broke my heart to take all these trees out, I'll be honest. I love trees so much. I grew up in the woods when I was a kid. That's one of the reasons I bought this place, because I love trees. I love woods. But I had to say, worm farming needed to be done in the shade, so that was a perfect place to run a worm farm back in there. Well, I'm going to tell you what. All this has taken a lot of time and money. So I had to get these trees. I had these trees knocked over with a big front end loader. And what I had left over was this whole place was full of junk. And once they got done knocking the trees down, this whole area here was a big pile of root balls. Up here was a big pile of root balls. I thought I could just burn them. I spent a fortune on fuel trying to burn those root balls out, the wood and stuff, and it just wouldn't burn because each root ball was a fire break. And so eventually I had to pay somebody a lot of money to haul them out. That's how I got rid of them. Right through here where this greenhouse sits, and a little bit over on that side of it, mainly over there, running back up through here, all through here was a big wall, impenetrable wall. You couldn't get from this side to that side because of the wall of logs. I had a huge number of logs, and those logs were processed. I have piles of lumber cut now. That took a lot of time and money to saw the lumber up because I was planning to use that lumber in a Mike Agler style house back here. And then what logs were left over, I built my log barn from, and I used them also in my raised beds to frame my raised beds here for my garden. So they're all log framed. Those were all logs that grew here. I've got piles of timber that grew here. The logs in my log barn grew right here. All of it came from this spot. So this is very much a homestead. I spent a lot of time building that log barn. It took me a couple of years to get it built. It took me I probably started this greenhouse by laying out this foundation like March. Might have been February. I think it was March when I was putting down the pad I built it on. And it took me through the summer to build it. And it was a lot of time and work went into it, and a lot of money. A lot of money went into this greenhouse. A lot of money went into clearing this place. A lot of money went into putting these things in. A lot of money went to digging a pit. A lot of money has gone into time setting up these raised beds. Raised beds are a better way to grow things. I've covered that in other videos where I talk about raised bed gardening, especially here in the southeast where we have so much rain that it's important that your beds be able to drain the water. There's a couple of sawhorses I want to use in another day or two here. Looks like it might want to rain on us. I got some projects I want to do out here. I'm gonna have to take vacation. Yeah, that's what I do. All my vacation is spent working here. Now, and I buy things to help me work, like that trailer, like my green trailer, cargo trailer, the bigger one up front, like the enclosed trailer that's getting the air conditioning unit put on it right now. All this lumber. Why am I buying all this lumber, all this metal? There's metal on the back of my truck right now. Because I'm building. I'm rebuilding. In fact, these in-ground worm beds here. I have sled beds. A lot of work goes in building all these worm beds you see in here. And I made little snippets of video, but you know, the kind of videos that you haven't seen on here, the ones where I spend so many hours doing something that I just don't have the time to edit it down. So I got a little roadway running back that way. I got one running back that way for my sled beds, so I can pull them in and out. I've got some more sled beds to build. I'm trying to get this place back up to the capacity of the worms I'm selling. Between here and Arizona, that is. But Greg, you're scaring me. Why are you telling me about all this? Yeah, it's a lot of time and money have gone into this, a lot. And it's still embryonic, it's not finished. This is still a progress and work. But I tell you this, just to get you to appreciate that I'm being honest. This is not a, something you just snap your fingers and everything happens. It's not all magical like some Disney movie. You wave a wand and you got all these great, wonderful things. No, you're going to work for it. But the cool thing is, if the grid goes down, I'm miles ahead. Miles ahead. When I get old and need to retire, this place can make money, and good money. In fact, it can make money right now. I just need somebody that's got a little more time and attention to put on it. The growth of the lettuce in there, now that I'm getting a well put in, I can grow the lettuce growth again without somebody wiping me out. But that also takes a lot of time and attention. The microgreens, now getting that trailer fixed up, that takes time and attention. I can grow in that greenhouse $750 worth of lettuce per week. And I got plans for how to use the aquaponics water. I think that's even more profitable, what I'm planning to do with that. I didn't build this greenhouse to grow food. I built it for the aquaponics water. Duh. Yeah, I'm a worm farmer. I got interesting ideas. I think outside the box. So a lot of people don't understand is I'm I'm not looking at this the way everybody else does. And I can put another greenhouse right there. I haven't really built a major building since I started my YouTube channel, so y'all missed that. I might be able to go back and cobble some of the pictures and videos I've done to show you and kind of walk through and talk through how it was done. I probably should do that. But I will be doing some new projects. Now, I actually did build these solar arrays after I did it, and when I cut those fan boxes. I have a lot of video on that, but it's going to take hours and hours and hours and hours to edit that video, so you may never see it. I don't know. It's tough when you got a day job. There are YouTube channels that can do that, but that's what they do. Maybe in the future I can. Maybe I'll find the time to do it. I hope so. But, Greg, why are you ranting on about this stuff? I'm sorry, my friends. It is worthwhile to do this. Microgreens. Think about microgreens. You can, on just a single rack, have a 5-rack system, 4 trays per rack, 5 racks is 20 trays. You can easily grow out a tray per week on a rack. They only need 3 days in the sunlight, by the time you got them all stacked up on sunlight. Well, sunlight, artificial light, your lights, grow lights, and they don't have to be perfect grow lights. They just got to be enough to stimulate that stuff to get a good start. You know, I use T12 sunlight lights quite often. I'm going to switch and probably do some LEDs in the van, in the trailer, because I want to be able to move it around if I need to. And those big fluorescent tubes, I don't trust them, they'll be falling out. Driving down the road probably. Yeah, you lock them in place, but I don't trust those things. So I want something I can tie up and it'll be solid. Microgreens sell retail at $30 per tray. That's the retail price for them, for a 10 by 20 flat. That's what I've been getting for some time, maybe going up. That's what I got from the very get-go 2 years ago. And you can sell them retail at farmers markets and in CSAs. Restaurants, you know, you might be making $20. What you would sell to a store to resell, somewhere in between there. Maybe you'd get $25, maybe a little bit less. I kind of figure it like this. Look, guys, if you can make profit, and $2 cost per tray, the rest of it's profit rather than your labor. The watering, seeding takes a little time. Watering don't take so much time. You got to water it and stay after it, unless you build automatic watering systems, which some people do for large scale systems. The more labor you cut, the better. But, you know, my friends, it's there can be a very good profit in that, because you may only be spending $2 a tray. And what if you're making $20 profit per tray? That means one rack, you got what? 20 per rack. You might make $400. You could, if you retail it, especially most of it, you could possibly make $400 per week off a single rack. How many racks can you put in? How much money do you really want to make? My friends, you can make a really good living with it. You got to sell it too, though. You know, that's the other thing. You got to sell it. You got to deliver it. You got to grow it, sell it, and deliver it. It ain't going to happen all by itself. And if the grid goes down, you're going to have to grow them outside, and you may be more, then it will become more seasonal. But you can still do some microgreens. They're highly nutritious. They're worth doing, grid or no grid. A lot of things cost money. It cost me a lot of money to drill this well. That's going to be my little well house here for the time being. Being able to put a tank in. The pump is underground. It's in there right now. But that's some pipe that got messed up. I was planning to put in my greenhouse. I hired help. I told them what to do, and I come back and they messed it up. That's a gutter that I'm going to use for something. I don't know. But I can still reuse it. I just couldn't use it on the greenhouse the size it is. I can cut it down and make a smaller greenhouse and use this pipe. That is quite a bit of pipe. I could build quite a greenhouse with that. It's all painted. Greg, you can't use PVC pipe with plastic. Yeah, you can if you paint it. Because PVC does off gas. Yes, I know. And guess what? I've had my greenhouse in 2 years with PVC making direct contact with plastic, and it's not a problem because it's painted. So here's one of my next projects. You know, this is going to be my in-ground universal habitat project. I'm probably going to build one here and one in Arizona. You talk about a perfect bug-out bunker? Yeah, I'll build this as a very defensible position right here. Very defensible position. Even though there's going to be a lot of people, it's going to be a fortress. And I'll be able to grow my own food ants really, really close to the well. Wonder why I did that, guys. I may even put the wall of the building on the other side of the well. Or at least part of it or something. I might do that. That'd be good if you got a well inside your house, right? As long as you got it in such a way where the moisture won't accumulate too much. Greg, that place is too wet, you can't build in there. Oh yeah, I got my concepts for that, you'll see them. So that'll be a construction video that I'll do in the future. But why I'm telling you this is this. Cut to the chase. No, it's not easy. It takes time. It takes money to build a homestead. There's some places that are more amenable to it rather than carving it out of the woods. Okay? A lot of people tell me, oh Greg, all I gotta do is put a stick in the ground and I can grow food. It's no problem. They even say, I did it. I did it one year. Well, the first year I grew food back here, it all grew great. The next 2 or 3 years later, deer came back here and ate everything that was growing. I had to learn what to grow and what not to grow, or what to do about the deer. And they're like, well, Greg, just put a fence around it. Well, a lot of my garden is right up on the road. If I put a fence around it, I don't have access to those beds. So I really need to put a fence around this entire property. That's going to be a lot more time and money. And eventually I will. Eventually I will. And you can see I've got other little stopgap measures. I use these little fence cages directly over some things. And that actually works pretty good. You can see them down there. Works pretty good. So Greg, why are you doing this? Peace, security, peace of mind. When Greg grows down, I can grow my food. I got seeds for food, and I got the medicinals. I could go out somewhere else and grow these things elsewhere. I'm gonna do a video on sharecropping your neighbor's yard, sharecropping old farms. They're not gonna be able to operate with the grids down. In fact, that'll probably be my next video. So you will know that you can take care of yourself. That's the beauty of setting up your own garden. Now maybe you got a better place to do it. Maybe it won't cost you as much money, time and money to set up as it did me, but you're still going to spend time and money developing any homestead. But it is worth it in the end. But some people, they're just not in that kind of lifestyle. And in our modern age, you have the luxury to choose. Oh, I'd rather just stay in town so I can go to the theater and go shopping and go home and prop my feet up and watch television. Play with the internet, okay. As long as I got a power grid, that's good. When the power grid goes down, you're gonna starve, or get ate by your neighbors. You're gonna be what's for dinner? You. What's for dinner here? It'll be what I'm growing right there, right out here, and around. But I got another video I'm gonna do. It's gonna talk about sharecropping. How you can up the ante to make it a bigger game and probably do it easier than what I'm doing back here. But I know what I'm eating. I know what I'm growing. I know it's pure and clean and chemical free. I know that it's when I eat from what I grow, that is. When I got good medicinal stuff here that I'm growing. I got my worms. I know that I can have a business in the worst of times. Believe you me, the demand for worms is off the charts right now. I will go back into selling them in the not too distant future. The prices have really gone up, but then the cost to deliver them has gone up too quite a bit. But worms are in huge demand. People can't get them. That's because people like me don't want to ship them, and everybody wants them. But I'm trying to fix those problems. That's part of what I'm doing with Arizona. I'm really trying to step up the game here and make it work. I will first start shipping from here before I go to Arizona shipping, because it's going to take me some time to develop that place. That's another whole development. I've got a lot of money sunk here. A lot of money, a lot of time. If I told you how much money, you would get mad and incredulous. You wouldn't believe it. So there's no point. There's no point in talking about it. Just suffice it to say, a lot. A lot. Yeah, you could buy a farm. But I've built a farm. It's not a big farm, but it can be a very productive place. It's still embryonic. This greenhouse still needs work. I need to redo part of it. The garden beds, I'm getting in a little better shape. One day I'm gonna take these trees out. I've got concrete put in down here at the bottom with rebar on each side going back. just ran out of money before I could put the block up. I'm going to put block up eventually. Then I can put trellises over and grow grapes here or something like that. I've got a notch notched in back there to do a Mike Ayler style greenhouse. I got a notch back in here to do a root cellar. So a lot of thought and planning and time and effort have been put into this. It's not all come to full fruition yet. Hopefully it will. But it has definitely been an adventure. So, and I'm not done. You can just hang on with me for the ride and you'll see me hopefully building more stuff again. But that's why I need your support on this channel. Because I don't really to do this, I'm going to have to find a way to do this on a more regular basis. But I'm also going to need more help. But I need help that's enfranchised. You know, they get a chance at a piece of a profit for what they do. So I think the best motivator for that is to set this place on a sharecrop basis with a couple of other people. I mean, honestly, quite frankly, I should have 2 different sharecrop proposals here. One being the garden and the other being the worm farm. Each one is a job. Each one is a job, but each one can make a lot of money, even on a sharecropping basis. So it's something that somebody could do well with. Like I said, I'll do a video just on that, so stay tuned. It'll probably come out this week. I'll probably shoot it tonight. I'm just going to do a few videos here. I'm going to post them all through the week. I think that's a good way to do it, around lunchtime or something like that, right after lunch. Oh my gosh, hope it don't rain off. I've got so much water here. So much rain, so much water. That's some of my wire I've been using. Some of my beds are starting to deteriorate. That's okay. Some of these logs I can just roll in and use them for hugelkultur. So I got this black cloth here I can lay down. As you know, I did a lot of video with that. I don't know that. And I've got wood chips too. None of them are perfect solutions here, the way I'm operating. Weeds are always a challenge for what I'm doing, but I'm working it. So it's rewarding to be out here. When I work outdoors, I'm happy. When I work out here with nature, this is where I'd rather be. Not behind the computer like I spend 10 hours a day. I enjoy nature. When I am outside, I'm far more content. When I'm out here working with nature. When I'm in my garden, on the worm farm, in the woods. So there's a contentment. There's a peace of mind from knowing that when it all happens and goes down, you can grow your own. That's why I also emphasize, get manual tools. It's good to have the power tools that can give you an edge up on getting ready for things, building your homestead, getting stuff set up. But when the grid goes down, you're not going to be buying gas to run all those power tools for long. Not likely. Not likely. So get things set as much as you can, and then be ready to ride it out. Yeah, you have to scratch for a living, but if you get prepared well, you won't have to scratch as hard as our ancestors did, because they didn't know some things we have the advantage of knowing today about raised beds, and we've learned a few of the techniques. We've also lost a lot of knowledge. A lot of things they knew we don't know anymore. And maybe the main thing that they knew that we don't know is how to work. How to scratch, but we're going to find that out real soon. Real soon, my friends. So stay tuned. I'll bring you more and more. That's what I want to do. Keep bringing you more. Share my videos. But so what do you get? You work in nature. You get the sunlight, the exercise, the fresh air. You get the knowledge that you're eating good, clean food, and the knowledge that you can survive. The knowledge that you can survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive and provide for your family. This is the best way to do that. Greg, I got a big hunting rifle. All I got to do is go out in the woods. Well, that might feed you for, if you're lucky, a couple months, maybe, probably a couple weeks. The only big game left is going to be Longport, because think about it, our ancestors when this country had far fewer people and everybody's hunting muzzleloaders, wiped out all the big game a long time ago. And it came back after some management. Great Depression, we wiped it all back again. It took decades for these animals to come back. It don't take but months to wipe them out. Just a few months. And today, with all the guys with all the big bore rifles they got today, and as many people as have that stuff, you might be lucky if it lasts 2 weeks. And you shoot a big animal, how are you going to keep the meat for a long time? You're going to have to share it. Dry it, jerk it, share it. Your freezers aren't going to be running. Not the grid's down. So dry it, jerk it, share it. Those are all good skills to have. Know how to raise your own animals. That's good to have too. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't scare everybody off. It's worth it. It's very much worth it. Very, very, very much worth it. And I'm glad. I don't regret anything I've done here, because I've been learning a lot. And as I go in and build in Arizona or wherever else I'm building, it will be different. That's a different climate. But I have already learned a lot of things in what I'm doing here. A lot of do's and don'ts. And hopefully I'll get somebody to work with the homestead basis there too. And I'll be going back forth between the two places. And maybe as I travel back and forth, I'll visit other farms, farmsteads, homesteads, preppers and prep steads, tribes, mag groups, just people that are finding their own way to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive if they want to be interviewed for such things. Gardeners might be more amenable to talking than a lot of preppers. But I'm not going to make, I'm not like the Doomsday Prepper show that was out to make people look stupid. That's all that was. So, some of the smartest people I know are preppers. There's some really smart people into prepping. So there you are, my friends. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. That's no joke. No joke at all. And it's best if you got a life partner, a wife, a husband, if you're a woman, to work with you. But you need one that's committed to it, and they need the same dream. And it may seem like a dream to both when you start, but you may discover, this is what the North Country Off-Grid, I hope I didn't get his name wrong now, was talking about. Sometimes you get into it, one partner just goes, this really ain't what I want. The other partner does want it, so you get a lot of tension there, because it is a lot of work. And so I just want to let you know that. But he's talking about the off-grid stuff. I'm going to tell you it's a lot of work whether you're off-grid or on-grid. I'm just adding to what he said. I'm amplifying what he said and talking about it from my personal perspective here. I put a lot of time and money in this. It's hard to stay up with it, especially when you've got a day job. I got 2 YouTube channels on top of that, and they take a lot of time. A lot of time. But they're worth it too. And that's what's really paying for me to help develop this, in addition to my tax returns from losing money. That's why I don't pay a lot of money to my workers right now, but we're on the cusp here. I've got everything now where we could really produce here and make some serious money. That's why now is a good time to talk about the prospects for homesteading. And I'm not a happy camper. I just discovered my very favorite tool left by a worker out here in the rain up against a tree. Jeez. I did hire some kids to work. And what do I find? I'm always finding something. That is my very favorite tool. I've mentioned this in some of my videos. And where am I finding it? It's supposed to be in the barn. Best tool I own. The best tool I own. Left out here to get rained on. Holy smoke. That's why you need people who have skin in the game. And I would advise you, if you bring people in, otherwise, you better get to know them. Anytime you get involved with other people, it's kind of like getting married. You really need to get to know your partners very well in advance. That goes for people in mag groups, survival tribes. It's always a very important consideration. All right, guys, my friends. With that, I'm going to say, well, I got to put this down to shut off my camera. I'll set it down. I'll take it to the barn a little bit after I shoot some more video. Anyway, thank you for watching.